This is an adjunct to the first PSA, The Body's Truth About COVID-19. What has been a missing piece in allopathic or Western healthcare is the answer to why certain groups of people are dying from COVID-19. The cause of death in every instance is dehydration in relation to acidosis. There are three exceptions. First, war, or when the life of one is taken by another being or atrocity. Secondly, when a being takes their own life. And lastly, accidents or natural disasters that kill. We need to understand dehydration and learn how to hydrate properly. This understanding, with practice, will help us live life fully as consciousness experiencing the miraculous self-healing vehicle for the human organism. And while this is true, that we are self-healing, there are many aspects of our global culture that contribute to the dis-ease that we experience whilst we participate in the unquestioned norms of this, our inherited way of life. This adjunct to the first PSA about COVID-19 explains why African Americans are disproportionately affected by this coronavirus. To understand how the complexities of the interrelated systems of oppression are at work in society and how they affect our health is of prime importance if we are to come together to change these institutional systems that are enslaving humans. When we are exposed to toxins beyond the immediate healing abilities of the human organism, the body intelligently stores the acidifying toxin, primarily in fat tissue. Toxins come in a variety of forms and can be understood as a substance that can harm or kill life. There are external toxins like tetanus, dioxin, or paint thinner, to name just a few, yet there are also endogenous toxins, toxins that the body makes internally. Although stress hormones serve a function to protect us from harm, these hormones act like toxins in that they are damaging to the body because they are acidifying. And it is with this knowledge that we can look at the United States as an example of how this plays out in human societies all over the planet. It is appropriate to use the United States as the example for two reasons. The first reason is because theirs is the culture of dominance of our shared planet. And secondly, because the United States is currently the country struggling with increasing COVID-19 cases and subsequent loss of life. We know, as evidenced by COVID-19, just because we can't see it doesn't mean that it doesn't exist. And institutionalized racism has played its part in creating an invisible undercurrent of judgment that is toxifying to all who participate. The overt externalized racism that people of color are exposed to in the United States is palpable, and the internalized racism that helps propagate it is understandably mystifying. There is a truth about African Americans suffering disproportionately in this global pandemic. People of color are at greater risk for illness because of the continuous stream of stress hormones that they are experiencing in relation to systemic racism. Stress hormones released in response to the way society has treated them and predictably will treat them because of institutional racism. Being discriminated against in applying for jobs that are well enough paid that could provide the sustenance they need to live healthy lives. Segregation is very much practiced in the United States, and the areas where many African Americans are living because of forced poverty are predominantly food deserts. Whilst it is clear that malnutrition is a global issue, we are seeing that it is a central issue for the working poor of the United States. There are multiple factors that contribute to malnutrition. The first, which is the most difficult to swallow, and yet simplest to understand, is related to poverty. A lack of money means you buy cheaper foods, and we all know that the cheapest of foods are sugar-rich and nutrient-poor. This means that carbohydrates, which are sugar, which is glucose, is the fuel to keep energized in the moment, and yet depletes the body, causing ill effects. We could go into the mechanics of the prison industrial complex, also fostering discrimination of great variety, and the myriad other atrocities associated with the school-to-prison pipeline. Yet we will tread lightly here, for these are deeper issues requiring thoughtful conversations. It is important to note that science has proven that this stress experienced by African Americans wreaks havoc on their immune systems and plays a large role in much of the dis-ease we see in this population. It is well known that African American men at a very young age are found to have lethal hypertension related to this chronic flow of stress hormones in their blood. It is also a little known fact, but well documented, that African American women have a much higher rate of preterm labor, babies being born much earlier than their due date, than women of other skin colors. Dehydration makes bodily processes move slower, and when the immune system is trying to isolate and eradicate pathogens like viruses or bacteria, time is of the essence. Chronic dehydration breeds chronic disease. In any case, the most important thing to part with here is that hydration is the foundation for our self-healing human organism. To learn about ways to hydrate properly, please watch PSA number 1, The Body's Truth About COVID-19. May this information spark the global conversation we so desperately need to thoughtfully transform our universal institutions. We are all in this together. We have the knowledge, the power we are taking back. As we've seen, our way of life, these systems, can change overnight. And it need not be done with fright. We can do this. We can unite. The dialogue can be fostered by thoughtful people such as Jamel Bowie and Brene Brown. There are many people who have the courage to talk about these difficult subjects. In this time, we can see that we care. Please further the momentum and share. Thank you for your attention.